turn this light on. All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and others of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas, and we got the elder Yatazak here as well from GMS Dallas, and we're continuing the series of Second Esdras. Today we're on the second part of chapter 11. All right, through the Spirit, we're going to see how far we can get along on this, but if you haven't watched part one, go back and watch part one. This is a chapter you're going to have to take notes to, especially if it's your first time getting a breakdown of it. But again, it's covering the history of the Roman Empire, okay, which pretty much, people, you could say is during the time of Pax Romana, right? Pretty much is covering this time, which was I guess we can start with that, right? Pax Romana. Pax Romana was a period of time, which I believe we touched on it briefly, right? It says roughly a 200-year-long period of ancient Rome that is identified as the golden age of increased sustained Roman imperialism, prosperous stability, hegemonic power, regional expansion, and relative peace and order. Okay. And it says it was during this period that the Roman Empire achieved its greatest territorial extent. Okay. Under Trajan in 117 AD. Okay. So Pax Romana was started with the first emperor that people say, which is Augustus Caesar, right? Even though Julius Caesar pretty much set it up, as far as like the Roman Empire for Caesars to be able to succeed one after another. But Octavian, all right, who was also known as Augustus Caesar, he was the one to start to implement Pax Romana. Okay. So let's go here and excuse me. Let's go back here to Second Esdras. All right, we left off at verse 13. All right, so this is Second Esdras chapter 11 and verse 13. It says, and so it was that when it rained, okay, which this is talking about Julius Caesar in verse 12, right? It says, and so it was that when it rained, the end of it came, and the place thereof appeared no more, right? So Julius Caesar ended up dying, all right? It says, so the next following stood up and reigned and had a great time, okay? That's talking about, again, Augustus Caesar, okay? Which his name was Octavian, but Augustus, they actually, let's go ahead and click Augustus Caesar real quick. Look him up. Which I believe he was like the grand nephew or something of Julius Caesar. Okay, it says Augustus, born Gaius Octavius, okay, also known as Octavian, right? That was his, that was Octavius, or Octavian was his last name, but he got the title of Augustus, when he became Caesar, right? Which
That's why Octavian. That's a nigga woman name.
yeah, Octavia,
Yeah,
yeah. Well,
I done read across a few of those.
yeah. A lot of the names, Claudius, Claude. What's another one? Julius. Shit, Julius. How many
Yep,
Juliuses do you know what I mean?
yep.
Uh, uh,
Darius.
yeah, you know what I mean. A lot of those Roman inspired names, are still, you know, taken up. But
Right.
um, the point I was trying to make here was the name the month of August was actually named after Augustus Caesar. Okay. But it says because we know the even the months that we have, you know, October, September, October, November, December, August, you know, those are all months that were basically provided. March, which was based off of Mars, you know,
Mhm.
these are all different uh, um, Roman concepts. You know, the months, the names of the months, I should say, were Roman. Um, but it says he was the founder of the Roman Empire and the first Roman emperor from 27 BC to his death in 14 AD. So he ruled, uh, I believe it was 44 years that he ruled. Okay. And it says the reign of Augustus initiated an imperial cult. Okay. It says in an era of imperial peace, which is the Pax Romana, also known as Pax Augusta. Okay. Um, it says in which the Roman world was largely free from armed conflict. Okay. Um, so this was during a time where basically the Roman Republic was transformed into the Roman Empire. Okay. Um, it says the Principate, this a style of government where the emperor showed nominal deference to the Senate, was established during his reign, okay, until the crisis of the third century. So basically, he was basically over the Senate now, which was the Senate at the time during the of the Roman Republic, right? We went in this last time. The Roman Republic was controlled by the Senate. Well, now the Roman Empire now is controlled by one man, which is the emperor or the Caesar. All right, so going back here, um, it says verse 13 again, and so it was that when it rained, the end of it came, okay, and the place thereof appeared no more. And so the next following stood up and reigned and had a great time. Uh okay, it says let me see here. Verse 14, and it happened that when it rained, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. So eventually, of course, Augustus Caesar's rule ended. Okay. It says, verse 15, it says, then came there a voice unto it and said, hear thou that hast borne rule over the earth so long. This I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto the half thereof. Right? Because again, Augustus Caesar ruled, 43, 44 years. Okay. And the next Caesar after that, Tiberius, he ruled half of that time. Okay. And then all the other Caesars ruled less than Tiberius. Okay. Now, before we go on to Tiberius, who was the third feather, I want to get this precept here in Luke the second chapter, because Augustus Caesar is mentioned here in the scriptures. All right. This is Luke 2:1. It says, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Okay, now we're going to get a couple words here. All right. First one we're going to get is, let's see what Caesar says on here. Severed the surname of Julius Caesar, which adopted by Octavius Augustus and his successors afterwards became a title and was appropriated by the Roman emperors as part of their title. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Augustus. Okay. Venerable is what that means here. Says he's the first Roman emperor, title conferred upon Roman emperors. Let's see, doesn't really give much, but yeah, it's the surname of Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus, the first Roman emperor. So that's him, right? Same guy right here. Okay, you can see him here. One of the deals of this devil here. Okay, going back. All right, and by the way, the second thing I want to get Salakia in that verse was taxed. Okay, because this is going into the census. All right, the word here is apographo, and it says to write off, copy, to enter in a register of or records, specifically to enter in public records the names of men, their property, and income. So that is ultimately a census, okay? Because in order to know, how much you can take from the people, you have to know how many people is out there, what their income is, right? So basically, the publicans or tax collectors, where they were conducting census and collecting the taxes, okay? Making a list of all those things. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. Okay. All right. And so again, the control of the Roman Empire had control over Judea. I'll say they were one of the controlled states of the Roman Empire. Okay, that whole area. All right, so let's go back here. All right, in verse 16, I read that already. Verse 17, I read that already. Verse 18 says, "Then arose the thirds." Okay, so now we're talking about Tiberius Caesar. Okay, Tiberius, we'll look him up. All right, let's go back. How do I get out of this shit?
Yeah, I see why Jake's so willing to wing it, man. You know what I'm saying? What's that scripture said? The wise, the people of the people of my people is foolish. Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
wise to do evil, but when it comes to getting the understanding and breaking down the scriptures, they always got something else to do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They put more effort into marching and cadence and fighting in the park and you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? All these different things. And since they ain't got time, I would say they ain't got time to thoroughly go through the 12 feathers and to go through the Caesars and break that down. You know what I'm saying? So call Allah
Right.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai for understanding. Because when it comes to rightly dividing the word of truth, if you don't rightly divide the word of truth, you're gonna be punished for adding or taking away from the scriptures. You got it?
Con, I got a quick precept based on what you said. This is Matthew 11:25. And it says, "And at that time, Yahushua answered and said, I thank thee, O Father," the red letter, "I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and has revealed them unto babes."
Now let that sink in. The Lord Yahweh Shai is thanking Yahweh for what now? Read that again.
It says, "Because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and has revealed them unto babes."
That's what I'm saying, man. Come on now. Have a Christian break that down. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Just because you got a Bible don't mean that it's for you. You pretty much was walking down the street one day and you ran across a letter that was addressed to somebody and it was on the ground and you picked it up. Just because you picked it up don't mean it's for you. You see?
Mhm.
The Lord purposely blinded people. You know what I'm saying? So when we tell you, based off listening to you talk, when we understand that you don't understand the scriptures and we tell you, it is what it is. No. See, because we'll let you talk and you will mess it up and then we can tell you what it is. Like, no. This is what it is. And see, when you're going back into the history and you go into this and you have an understanding of that and you go into you got to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Work for
Here,
it. No, it ain't no, I'm going to eat snakes, have butt sex and smoke cigarettes and Jesus love me anyway. No, it don't work like that. You got to
no.
figure it out. And if the Lord wants you to figure it out, He's gonna put the spirit on you to figure it out. Okay, you got it.
Con. That's exactly right. Well said, Zaquan. Okay. So going back here, uh, I'm sorry. Actually, I wanted to look up one last thing, uh, or talk about one last thing regarding Augustus, which is the second triumvirate. Um, and basically, it says it here legally. I'll just read the AI overview. The second triumvirate was a legally sanctioned three-man dictatorship formed by Octavian, who was Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. You can look up, YouTube videos or whatever on the second triumvirate. All right, uh, and go from there. All right, but that was pretty much how. Um, Julius Caesar's legacy was able to continue because of the success of the second triumvirate to a degree as well. Okay. Um, and you can see the members and their roles there. Okay. Anyway, lots of history during that time, but we're going to go back to 2 Esdras 11 and verse 18. It says, then arose the third and reigned as the other before and appeared no more also. Okay, so that's talking about, again, Tiberius Caesar, who he reigned. Tiberius, hold on, let me pull it up real quick. I don't know why my cursors are showing up.
Like what, 22, 23 years for him?
Yeah,
Con. Like
I want to get the years as well. Okay, so he reigned from 14 AD until 37 AD, because again, we just read in Luke, the second chapter, that Julius Caesar, Augustus Caesar was still Caesar before the birth of Yahushua, right? Which this chapter talks about, right? When Mary and Joseph, you know what I mean, but when they were expecting Yahushua, okay, and basically they went up, out of Galilee and into the city of Nazareth, right? And so, um, the reason behind that, I guess, was so that way they could, you know, um, they had to report in, you know what I'm saying, their taxes and shit like that, you know. So Jake, they don't be doing taxes. Jake, they don't be paying your taxes. Yahushua's parents pay their taxes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? How Shah said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be fucking, it's a side note, but you shouldn't be getting in trouble for no goddamn tax evasion.
right. Jake talking about I'm black, fool. I deserve reparations, sucker. Nigga, you better go to fuck to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. You can be with the black people in jail.
Yeah. America's blacks.
So yeah, and verse what was that? 18 again, talk about Tiberius. Let's read a little bit about him. All right. It should be an AI overview for this, but I guess it just goes into this here. Let's just click it. All right, it says he was the Roman emperor from 14 AD until 37. So his reign was shorter than Augustus, right? He succeeded his stepfather Augustus, the first Roman emperor. Tiberius was born in Rome in 42 BC to politician Tiberius Claudius Nero. Damn, nigga had three emperor name. Caesar names. It says in 38 BC, his mother divorced his father and married Augustus. Okay, so basically, that was like a stepfather. Yeah, because even with Augustus, Octavian Augustus Caesar, he he was related to Julius Caesar, you know. So it was kind of at the beginning, especially in the beginning, it kind of ended up splitting up after Nero. But I believe first six emperors were related to each other in some way, form, or fashion. You know what I mean? And then after a certain period of time, it wasn't the case. Um, but for most of them, they were related to each other in some way. Okay, so it was really kind of like a monarchy. It wasn't a monarchy, but it was kind of like a form of it because again, they tried to keep that power. They tried to keep that power within within each other. But
Which shows you that they are Edomites. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Passing it down. I would say, even though you don't got even though you showing a system, it's just like when you look to see that George Bush and John Kerry was related, but they running against each other in the election. You know what I'm saying? You putting forth the illusion that the people got a choice, but they really don't at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's just something that come to mind off hearing what you say, hearing you say what you just said.
Con. Yeah, and
You got it.
all these demons that got these busts, you could tell that none of them got their beard. This is just some random guy I clicked on, but let me go back to Tiberius real quick. None of these dudes got their beards. Okay, that's how you can tell. Okay, I mean, not the only way you could tell, but these were all Edomites. You know what I'm saying? These were all Edomites. During this time period that Second Esdras 11 was talking about.
Another
Okay.
thing to let you know that the Roman Empire was revived is look at the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? All these busts, all these statues of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Uh, they want to put a picture, do a bust of your head. You see, just like these right here. You go through the Hall of Fame, you'll see hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Fine. Um, what was it that I was looking at? Okay. Oh, talked about how he was what is it? Step son of uh Augustus Caesar. Okay. It says in 38 BC, Tiberius's mother divorced his father and married Augustus, following the untimely deaths of Augustus's two grandsons. Right, so the prior Caesar, his grandsons and adopted heirs died. Right, and basically he was like, okay, fuck it, like we'll make the stepson the next Caesar. Right. Uh, these were his two grandsons and heirs of the throne. And again, we're doing an abridged version because, again, the way that these dudes died, they all died young. You know what I mean? Because it was basically a power, a power grab. Everybody was trying to position themselves in, to a position to where, they could rule next. And if they didn't like the next prospect, the heir is always gonna get targeted because he's an easier target than the Caesar, than the ruler. You know, so they ended up, a lot of them ended up either get put to death. You know what I mean, or falling sick, right? But it was all the will of the Lord. So it says Tiberius was designated Augustus's successor, and prior to this, Tiberius had proved himself an able diplomat and one of the most successful Roman generals. His conquest of Pannonia, okay, and Dalmatia, uh, and Rhaetia. All right, those are all provinces of the Roman Empire. Okay, and parts of Germania. Okay, uh, laid the foundation for the Roman Empire's northern frontier. Okay, expanding them borders. All right, so let's go back to the scripture. All right, and actually, let me ask the chat something. Is Tiberius Caesar mentioned? Well, I guess render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. The Caesar at that time would have been Tiberius, mentioned in the New Testament. Let's see. 15th year. Oh, okay. It's in the next chapter. I didn't even, let me see. Hold on. Luke 3. Shaw, right. Okay. Forgot about this one, right? Luke 3:1. It says, now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar. See, so you got, man.
I would say, how do the Israelites not exist? How is that spiritual Israelite? The whole story of Israel is spiritual. Shut your dumb ass up.
Right.
The only reason y'all got enough Bible is so y'all can talk enough shit to get destroyed. Go ahead.
But you know what's so funny? If the Judeans, the true Judeans, which everybody says that the Judeans, the world has, them to believe that they're the individuals in the state of Israel right now. So you saying that basically these people that the Bible is talking about, that was self-proclaimed white people in there, you know. And where was the black people during this time? So-called, we'll say melanated people. Where was the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American? See, Esau literally, he has to say that we're Hamites because that's the only one that we could fit in. You see? So according to the state of Israel's viewpoint, if the so-called Negro had to be a nation, it would be we would be of the nation of Ham. Or I should say of the descendants of Ham. Okay, that's how he views us, like Hamites, and he thinks that he's the chosen people. So you see how backwards this devil thinks, right?
Man.
So, but anyway, we know that wasn't the case. It was actually so-called Negroes, okay, that were the individuals that of the promise. All right,
and the Edomites that was ruling back then had a problem with Israel. Just like the Edomites that's ruling right now have a problem with Israel. You see, the Lord told the disciples that they was gonna have to prophesy on the other end of the earth. You see, so everything comes together based on the prophets breaking down the scriptures the right way. You see, the reason why everybody is so confused about the Bible and talk so much shit is because they don't understand it. So when you tell them, okay, well, this is what it's talking about, they like, oh, you know what I'm saying? You like, nah, man, that's what I'm saying. This is what it is. So that understanding that's been given, the Lord made us right when it comes to the doctrine. So all your arguments fall short. No matter what you say when you come to debate these scriptures, when it comes to the spirit of power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai through the apostles and bishops and elders of Great Millstone, we are right and you are wrong. That's what we believe. Because the more you change it, the more we tell you what it is. We're not changing it up. Every time you come up with the wrong answer, we're like, no, it's this. No, it's that. No, it's this. Look how many times these so-called Christians walk up with the same argument. Do we change the way we explain what they're trying to understand? No, we don't.
Right. All right. So yeah, there's some good stuff here. This is Luke 3:1. All right. Now in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar, right, which we know he started reigning in what 14 AD, so that would be around 29 AD, more or less, right? It says Pontius Pilate, being governor of Judea, and Herod, being tetrarch of Galilee, and his brother Philip, tetrarch of Etruria, and the region of Trachonitis, and Lysanias, the tetrarch of Abilene, all right, Annas and Caiaphas, being the high priest, the word of the Most High, came unto John, John the son of Zacharias in the wilderness. Okay, so we got a timestamp of what was going on in this time. Like if we were to say, like if we didn't have a year ordered, like how we got now, we would say in the second term of Donald Trump's presidency, in the second year, right? And whoever was the governor of Texas or whatever, like that way it would be documented. You know what I mean? This person was in power this time, this person was doing this, right? So now we know what time this was going on, right? So that's pretty much what was done here now. Um, it says I'm gonna get what they got here for Tiberius. All right. Let's see here. From the Tiber, Second Roman Empire Emperor, excuse me. Let's see here. Don't have nothing juicy on there. Let's go back. But you saw how Pontius Pilate was mentioned, right? Let's click on his name. All right. All right. Pontius Pilate, the sixth Roman procurator of Judah, all right, who crucified Mashiach. Okay. Let's see if Pontius Pilate comes up. Um, let's look him up here. Okay, because all of the matter of fact, let's do this. What would it be? Of governors of I say governors that ruled during.
Man, that's wild in the NBA now. Instead of calling the owners, the team owners, they call them governors.
Mm, yep.
So like, that's what I'm saying. If you, I was, the spirit ain't on you if you can't see that this is the revival of the Roman Empire. You know what I'm saying? If you don't
Con.
have an understanding of prophecy, you don't have an understanding of the scriptures. Like, we going through this and we going into the history and we going in all these things. Everything that we talking about was prophesied. You know what I'm saying? As we prophesied the second leg, just like the Roman Empire was revived. Okay, well, the Book of Acts was revived. How about that? Go ahead.
Mm. Yeah. So this is just a quick AI overview. Um, it says key governors or prefects slash pro councils. Because remember, the council was somebody that was elected by the Senate, but a pro-council basically, like a smaller person under the Caesar, who ruled during the reign of Tiberius Caesar, included Pontius Pilate over Judea around 26 to 36 A.D., and various governors in Asia, such as Marcus Aemilius Lepidus. Other officials included Lucius Aelius Lamina, appointed governor of Syria, and Sextus Pompeius. Okay, so you can see here some key governors and officials. Pontius Pilate, of course, prefect appointed by Tiberius. Uh, Before him was Valerius Gratus, which he ruled in Judea as well. And then over there in Asia, you had Gaius Fonteius Capito. All right, these guys, pretty much were all appointed by the Caesar to rule over um, different parts of the Roman Empire. Okay, and let's go ahead and go back here to Second Esdras. Okay, it says verse 19. Excuse me, verse 18. Then arose the third and reigned as the other before, and appeared no more also. So went it with all the residue one after another, as that every one reigned, and then appeared no more. Okay, so now we're starting to get the progression of the you know men from Tiberius all the way through Nero. Okay, because again, you had Augustus, then Tiberius, then Caligula, Claudius, then Nero. Okay, and it says, verse 20, then I beheld, and lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood up on the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. Okay. Again, you go into Caligula, you know what I'm saying? He only ruled 3 years. Now Claudius and Nero, they both ruled 13 years, but Nero committed suicide. You know, he committed suicide, and basically he ended up um, kind of throwing a spiral of chaos into that, the Roman Empire, threw it into a spiral of chaos, I should say. Remember, he was the one, talking about Nero, he was the one that was responsible for putting, Peter and Paul to death. He set Rome on fire.
Did
He
we ever confirm if Nero was Claudius' son?
so yeah, it was his stepson, I think.
Okay, yeah, okay. I just
Um,
wanted to make sure.
I believe it. Okay, let's see. Was Nero Claudius' stepson? I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, it says yes. Nero was the stepson of the Roman
Okay,
Emperor Claudius. After Claudius married Nero's mother, Agrippina, the younger,
right.
and,
And then
and
he killed his mom and yada yada yada.
yeah,
He killed his mom. He killed his wife. Nero was off the chain, but yeah, we can
yeah,
keep on going. Yeah, I'm just
yeah,
the reason I'm focusing on Nero is because that whole back.
yeah. Facts.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, kind. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of these devils, they're intermarrying and stuff like that. You know. Um. So yeah. So it says, real quick, upon Claudius's death in 54 AD, suspected to be poisoning by Agrippina, which was his mother, 17-year-old Nero ascended to the throne, ending the reign of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Okay. So I guess that's just a term. But then he ended up marrying his niece, uh, Claudius. Oh wait, hold on. What's his name? Or who's Claudius? Oh, Claudius married Agrippina. Oh, his own niece. Yes. Okay. So Claudius Caesar married Agrippina. Okay, which was the mother of Nero, but it was Claudius's niece in 49 AD. Okay.
Keep it in the
Uh,
family.
yeah. Yeah. Making Nero his stepson, but Agrippina supposedly had already had Nero at the time of Claudius marrying to her. So you know how it is. These women, and that's what it is today. The stepson shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just that whole thing. These devils. They don't care. You know.
Yeah,
So,
that shit
you
off.
know, even with in the scriptures when John the Baptist, he was cursing out Herod for getting with his brother's sister. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Just all that. That they never had no rules when it came to marriages. Um, all right. But anyway, on to verse 19. All right. Oh, excuse me. I read that already. Verse 20. All right. And then I beheld, and lo, in process of time, the feathers that followed stood upon the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. Okay. So now we're transitioning into after Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero. Now we're transitioning now into Galba, Otho, and eventually Vitellius, which Nero committed suicide. Matter of fact, let me go back on Nero, because he ended up committing suicide in 31, right? No, hold on. 31. No, this ain't the right Nero. Yeah, it's not the right Nero. There we go. In June of 68. Okay. All right. Matter of fact, I don't know what'll say that, but yeah, he ended up committing suicide. He died at age 30. All right, he committed suicide um in 68 AD. Okay. Uh, all right, and then continuing on here, check for the time. Okay, we're good. All right, it says for some of them were set up but ruled not. Okay, like for example, um, with Galba and Otho, they only ruled for a short time. Okay, they only ruled for a very short time. Okay, verse 22, it says, after this, I looked and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the two little feathers. Again, Galba and Otho, those two little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but three heads that rested and six little wings. Okay, so again, we went into last lesson, the three heads are part of those 12 feathers, okay, or the 12 wings. The wings and feathers are synonymous, okay. So the three heads that rested were pretty much the first triumvirate coming back as the Flavian dynasty. Okay, those are the ones that were going to be ruling again shortly after these what is it, the year of the four Caesars, after that time period. Matter of fact, let's do this. Year of the four Caesars, because we're at Nero right now, right, in 68 AD. Year of the four emperors of Rome. All right, the year of the four emperors refers to 69 AD, okay, which says it was a chaotic period in the Roman Empire following Emperor Nero's suicide. And by the way, Nero was persecuting the church heavily. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask if was Emperor Nero mentioned in the Bible. Mentioned in the Bible. Let's see. The fuck. Let's see here. It says Nero was not explicitly mentioned in the Bible by name, but he was a Roman emperor from 54 to 68 AD. During the time many New Testament books were written. So during the time of Acts, and when later Christian persecution began, where was it at? Let me do this. Because I thought it was mentioned. Caesar was mentioned in Acts. Okay,
It
Claudius
was
Caesar.
Claudius. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Claudius Caesar. Okay, so yeah, so before Nero. Okay. Uh. Okay. Claudius. That's right. So yeah, during the time of Acts, because Claudius was right before Nero was,
Hmm.
because Caligula only really ruled 3 years, so his shit was short. But Claudius ruled 13 years,
Ooh, that was a
right?
nasty nigga there, boy.
Yeah, yeah, Caligula.
Claudius, yeah, Caligula.
Yeah,
Ooh, yeah, that nigga wicked. Boy.
he was the freakiest, the most demonic. I
Yup.
will. I mean, like his shit was concentrated. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he was the most potently wicked. Well, in my opinion, I mean, obviously Nero was a hell of a demon. He was a super high
It was
level
it was
demon
it
too,
was like he knew he had 3 years to rule, so he was gonna get it. He really
bro.
got that nigga really got after it.
Like crazy, bro, crazy. You know. But yeah. So okay. So it was Claudius Caesar that was mentioned here, and I'm trying not to skip around. I'm trying to go in chronological order, but I want to make sure I'm covering all the Caesars that was mentioned, because you'd be surprised. I mean, we already covered this, the third Caesar that was mentioned directly by name in the scriptures.
Yep.
Okay,
And I would say, nah, you roll in the spirit. Yeah, you roll in the spirit.
you know. So
Cook, brother.
right, right. So just let that be known that Claudius is mentioned, and then but it says Nero wasn't directly mentioned, but basically, by that time anyway, 68 AD. Matter of fact, um, let's do this. Before I get into the four emperors of Rome, let's do uh Nero burns Jerusalem. I'm sorry, burns Rome, burning of Rome. Okay, the Great Fire of Rome. Okay, and these are like there's so much here like this like you can go into, but we're just touching on it. The Great Fire of Rome began on the evening of July 1864 AD. The fire started in the merchant shops around Rome's Chariot Stadium, Circus Circus Maximus. Ain't that some shit? Circus Maximus. Bread and circuses like a mother, right? It says after 6 days, the fire was brought under control, but before the damage could be assessed, the fire reignited and burned for another 3 days. In the aftermath of the fire, nearly 3/4 of Rome had been destroyed, 10 out of 14 districts. Okay. It says, according to Tacitus and later Christian tradition, Emperor Nero blamed the devastation on the Christian community in the city. All right, the believers, because again, okay, the book of Romans. Hold on, let's slow it down a little bit. Okay. Okay, Romans, because Paul dwelt in Rome. Matter of fact, at the end of Acts, he dwelt in Rome. Okay. Acts, let's see here. Acts, let's do this. 23. Okay, not just Italy, no, specifically the city of Rome. Okay. All right. And this is the Spirit of the Lord. Okay. It says Acts 23:11, it says, and the night following, the Lord stood by him and said, be of good cheer, Paul, for thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also at Rome. Why?
Now stop right there.
Yeah.
Now, this verse right here, from the point of, the Lord said he was with Paul. You see? So from this point, you see, just like the brother Yawan like to go into that plot armor. You know what I'm saying? Paul had the plot armor for this portion of the his walk. You see, he was in the last days under the Roman Empire, being put on trial for his belief in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai.
Yep.
The Lord told Paul straight up, see, be of good cheer. I'm with you. We finna go, you know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. You see, because we're gonna have to go through this. This is Paul's hour of temptation. And the Lord was with him. Okay. Go ahead.
Con. Okay. And again, man, matter of fact, I got my handy book. Well, I'm pretty sure I can find the same chart online. Books are New Testament letters timeline. All right, to show you the times, okay, that these books was written. If it'll let me click the damn picture, come on, man. This new Google be on bullshit. It won't even let me blow it up. Okay, I'll pick a different one. I just need New Testament letters, yeah, epistles of Paul timeline, I guess. Well, no, this should be good. It just won't let me click it and blow it up. Or this one's good, I guess, if I can read it. Okay, here we go. All right, so again, this is AD, right? You know, after the death of Yahushua. So 50 AD, okay, the book of Mark was written. Okay, then the letter of James, okay, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, Galatians, 1st and 2nd Corinthians in 57 AD, the book of Romans in 58 AD. Okay, again, let me see, hold on. When was Nero ruling? I'm trying to get the dates on that. Okay, but it's all around that same time. Okay, again, the book of Acts is in 64. Okay, Titus 1 and 2 in 65 through 66. So this was right around the time of the burning of Rome, because Paul dwelt in Rome for a while. You know, he dwelt in Rome for a while, and then all the way down to Revelation, which was written, after 90 AD. Okay, so with that being said, Okay, a lot was going on during this time, and this where was it? The Great Fire of Rome was one of them.
It's
Okay,
just like we talked about yesterday, right? All these different historical accounts. What was going on with the Israelites during that time? They was in captivity. You see? So with all these Caesars and all this history that you can easily look into, Israel was on the scene.
right,
You got it.
right. Yep. Talked about how Nero became emperor at the age of 17 in 54 AD. Okay, so he from 17 through 30, he was what I'm saying, being a complete demon, right?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? And so going back to here, Second Ezra 11, okay, in verse 23. Um, okay, again, verse 23 is going into that Flavian dynasty that was yet to come. Okay, there was no more upon the eagle's body, but three heads that rested and six little wings. Okay, verse 24 says, "Then I saw also that two little feathers divided themselves from the six." Okay, so now we're looking at the last six emperors or Caesars yet to come. Those six are Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian. Okay. Now again, when Nero died, it was unexpected. Prior to this, most of the Caesars died. Well, Caligula died early, but they killed him. But Nero killed himself. So, like, if you are unalive, if you unalive yourself, it's less expected than somebody say, okay, we're gonna take this dude out, right? So Galba was the next Caesar after Nero. Okay, so Galba and Otho are those two little feathers, all right, that divided themselves from the six. Okay, because ultimately, they were fighting amongst each other to obtain power. Again, this was during the year. Now we can get the year of the four Caesars again. Now that we covered that, of the four emperors of Rome. Okay, it says the year of the four emperors was 69 AD, a period of intense civil war and political instability in the Roman Empire. Okay,
Mhm.
following Nero's suicide in 68 AD, four generals, right? So the following four Caesars were all generals. Okay, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian claimed the throne in rapid succession, with Vespasian finally restoring order and founding the Flavian dynasty.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, here's the quick overview of these men. Galba, okay, let's go back here. It says, verse 24, then I saw also that two little feathers divided themselves from the six and remained under the head that was upon the right side. For the four continued in their place. All right, the four were Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian, the ones that came after Galba and Otho. Verse 25, it says, and I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wing thought to set themselves up to have rule. Okay, again, those feathers that thought to set themselves up to have rule was Galba and Otho. Okay, verse 26, it says, and I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more. That's going into Galba. Okay, he was recognized after Nero's death, but quickly lost popularity and was murdered. All right, we're keeping it abridged. We're not going to go into the drama of how he lost popular, but there's everything. A lot of the stuff um, is what's it called? Documented heavily. Okay. Then you got Otho. All right. In the next verse 26, that's Galba, right? Shortly it appeared no more because he only reigned for 7 months, right? And then verse 27, okay, talking about Otho, and the second was sooner away than the first because he only reigned 3 months, okay? Uh, should bring it over here closer. See, he literally ruled from June 68 to January 69. Galba, that's 7 months. And then from January 69 to April 69 is what, 3 months, 3 or 4 months. Okay. It says he seized power in a coup against against Galba, right? Um, but committed suicide after being defeated by Vitellius, okay, which was the emperor that followed after him. Okay, so you got those two contrary feathers being Galba and Otho. It says the second was sooner away than the first. All right, verse 28, and I beheld, and lo, the two that remained, those two that remain are Vitellius and Vespasian. All right, it says, and I beheld, and lo, the two that remained thought also in themselves to reign. All right, this was all happening in one year, 69 AD.
Mm-hmm.
And when they so thought, behold, there awaked one of the heads that were at rest. Okay, that head that was at rest again was ultimately Julius Caesar coming back as Vespasian. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Namely, it that oops, I didn't mean to click. Namely, it that was in the midst, for that was greater than the two heads. Okay, the other two heads were but Vespasian's son, Titus and Domitian. Okay, it says, and then I saw that the two other heads were joined with it. Okay, now I want to stop there because during this time you got to remember uh, persecution of Israel, all right, ultimately was taking place heavily. And these men, these hold on, we'll X out of this, I'm not using it, X out of this. These men who were generals were men of war, all right. So they was taking shit over. They, you know what I mean, quelling any uproars that people were bringing up, okay. And you can see here when you get to Vespasian in December of 69, finally the fourth emperor that ruled in that year. Eventually, he ended up ruling for around 10 years. Okay, it says he secured the empire, bringing stability and starting the Flavian dynasty. All right. Uh, it says this chaotic year demonstrated that emperors could be made outside of Rome by provincial armies. Okay, so now we're gonna get a couple precepts. We're gonna read this in verse 30. All right, and we're gonna get a couple precepts. Okay, it says verse 30 in 2nd Esdras 11. Then I saw that the two other heads were joined with it. Okay, again, talk about Titus and Domitian, which were Vespasian's sons. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So get a couple precepts here. Revelation 12. Okay, because at this time Jake was catching hell. Okay. Matter of fact, before I get Revelation 12, I want to get Luke. Luke, I had it written here somewhere. 23. Luke 23. All right, when Yahushua was the day that Yahushua was crucified, when he was carrying that cross, right? And being led out of the city to be crucified. This is Luke 23 and 27. It says, and there followed him a great company of people and of women, which also bewailed and lamented him, because Yahushua was crucified around what, 33 AD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And within 3 short decades, okay, by the time that fourth decade rolled around, Jerusalem was already taken. All right, and the temple was destroyed, pretty shortly afterwards, within someone's lifetime, to where they could have remembered Yahushua's crucifixion, as well as been there during the destruction of Jerusalem. For example, John the Revelator, he was one of the 12 disciples who became apostles, right? And he wrote the book of Revelation in 90 AD, okay, which was what, 20 years after the complete utter destruction of Jerusalem, right? So there were many people that lived long enough to see the destruction of Jerusalem. Now, Yahushua responded here in verse 28. It says, "But Yahushua turning unto them said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children." You see, because even if they passed away, the children, that was their generation that was going to be the ones to be persecuted, all right, during the Flavian dynasty. Okay. It says, verse 29, "For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck." And that's the spirit that we in these times, because we understand that Jacob's trouble is here at the door, knocking at the door. Okay. And it's going to be, like the scripture says in Daniel the 12th chapter, a day such as was never like it before or after. Ultimately, leading up to the ICBM missiles. But even before that, all the different plagues that's going to come to this place, Babylon the Great. Okay. Same similar or worse plagues that came to Egypt, okay, is going to come here. Like, you don't want to be breastfeeding in that day. It's going to be a war zone. Okay. And so ultimately, Yahushua, that was what he meant when he was saying this here. Weep for yourselves and for your children, because he knew what was coming. And then also in Matthew, where it talks about the abomination of desolation, Matthew 24. Okay, that was also talking about this time period that we're reading about. All right, Matthew 24 and 15, perilous times, right? It says, "When ye therefore shall see," and he's talking to his men, right? Yahushua, was speaking to the disciples, they were asking them, "Tell us, when are these signs going to be, and the end of the end of the world," right? So he told, that's why we get Matthew 24 a lot, you know what I mean? Because a lot of these prophecies are going on today, all right? But specifically here in this part right here, specifically in Daniel 24 and 15, this is talking about 70 AD, what we say often 69, 70 AD, okay? With Vespasian coming to power, okay, ultimately, and coming in and oppressing Jerusalem heavily. Okay. It says, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains." Okay, so this lets you know it had not yet come to pass. It was spoken by Daniel the prophet, but it had not yet come to pass yet at this point when Yahushua was speaking this, right? It says, "Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop come not down, but not come down to take anything out of his house." Okay. Again, a tribulation, you know what I mean, that was going to come to the southern kingdom Israelites, all right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi during the time of 70 AD, okay, was a precursor to really what's going to come, again in those, in the last days that we're in now. All right. But ultimately, that was heavily perilous times that Jake was getting persecuted. And you go into the history of the siege of Masada, for example. You know what I mean? That was a grueling. I remember Elder Ariala did a lesson on it, which we won't go into in depth, about how that was a grueling process where the Roman. Well, we'll read it. The hilltop fortress of Masada. Here's a picture of it. Okay. Of the area. Imagine trying to take this shit over with no electricity, and you know what I mean? They had to starve the people out, right? Right? It says the hilltop fortress of Masada in present-day Israel was successfully besieged and taken by Roman imperial forces between 72 and 73 AD during the final period of the First Jewish-Roman War. Okay, I should have clicked on this a long time ago. The Jewish Roman War, okay, the first one was the first of three major Jewish rebellions against the Roman Empire fought in the province of Judea. It resulted in the destruction of Jerusalem and the Jewish temple, mass displacement, okay, land appropriation, and the dissolution of the Jewish polity. Okay, it says Judea, once independent under the Hasmoneans, fell into Rome, into the Roman Empire in the first century BCE, which was initially a client kingdom. They were a client kingdom during the time of Yahushua, and it later became a directly ruled province. Or I guess you could say it was a directly ruled province during the time of Yahushua, marked by the rule of oppressive governors, so on and so forth. Right now, this is important. In 66 AD under Nero, unrest flared when a local Greek sacrificed a bird at the entrance of a Caesarea synagogue. Okay, which it wasn't even in Jerusalem. It was in Caesarea. Right. It says tensions escalated as Governor Gassius Flores looted the temple treasury and massacred Jerusalem's residents, sparking an uprising during which rebels killed the Roman garrison while pro-Roman officials fled. Okay, and you got a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on at this time, bro.
Yeah. And
And
Israel was on the scene, catching hell in the midst of all of that.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Just like now. Just like now. You know what I'm saying? You had the prophets on the scene back then, just like now. You got the prophets on the scene. The whole world is wilding out. You know what I'm saying? But why the work still being done? Why the word still being pushed? It's the same thing.
Right. I want to get this one last precept. I know it's coming up on time, so I'm gonna get this one last precept. I'm gonna read a little bit more of this in the Wikipedia. I want to get this precept first. Revelation 12 and 13. Okay. It's Revelation 12 and 13. Okay, it says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth a man child. All right, now that woman is talking about ultimately Jerusalem. That dragon is talking about the Roman Empire. Okay, and the man child is talking about Yahushua. Okay, it says, and to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness. Now, those wings is talking about how the southern kingdom, basically Judeans who fled, they was able to escape during this time that we're talking about, during the Jewish-Roman War. They fled into, the wilderness, and ended up eventually in West Africa, of course, when you fast forward long enough. But when you get this history here, okay, it says some more in this first Jewish-Roman War. It says, after Vespasian subdued most of the province, which is that's this head, okay, that's talking about that the head that was greater than the other two heads. That's talking about Vespasian. Okay, let's get rid of this tab. All right, after Vespasian subdued most of the province, Nero's death prompted him to depart for Rome to claim the throne. His son Titus led the siege of Jerusalem, okay, which is where you get the Ark of Titus, which is currently, what's it called? Still in existence, right? But we'll get it in a little bit. His son Titus led the siege of Jerusalem, which fell in the summer of 70 AD, resulting in the temple's destruction and the city's razing. It says in 71 AD, Titus and Vespasian celebrated a triumph in Rome, okay? And Legio ex Fretensis remained in Judea to suppress the last pockets of resistance, culminating in the fall of Masada in 73 AD, okay? And you know, if the people that were in the land today that claim to be the people were actually the people, they would have a problem with this Ark of Titus being just propped up, okay, currently in Rome, right? But they're they're not the real people, man. All right. I want to get some pictures of the Ark of Titus, but it says the Ark of Titus is a first century AD honorific ark located in Via Sacra, Rome, just to the southeast of the Roman Forum. So this thing actually survived for 2,000 years. All right. And it's not surprising because you have other things like the Roman Colosseum, which has also survived for that long. Okay. And this is the Lord made it last this long. Okay. The Roman Colosseum, fuck. Oh, I clicked on the picture. I meant to click on this, right? Roman Colosseum is let me see here. Ultimately from Greek word kolossos, meaning large statue or giant, is an elliptical amphitheater in the center of the city of Rome, Italy, just east of the Roman Forum. It is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built and is the largest standing amphitheater in the world. Construction began under Emperor Vespasian, as a spirit, in 72 AD and was completed in 80 AD under his successor and heir Titus. All right, further modifications were made during the reign of Domitian. The three emperors who were patrons of the work are known as the Flavian dynasty. Okay, so these things are, this thing is over 2,000, almost 2,000 years old. And again, the Ark of Titus is from around the same time period. I wanted to get some pictures of the sides of this thing because it actually shows you pictures of the Romans carrying away, the things that were in the temple. All right, you can see these were okay. I didn't expect it to zoom in that much, but these were you know, you can see the little things on their head. I can't remember what they're called, the little leaf things they used to wear. Talking about the Romans, you can see the menorah right here, right? The different things of the temple, gold, and you know what I mean, horns and all these things being carried off. Okay, this is still in existence. Okay, and then on this side, Jake being carried off, slaves, I guess, suppose, belief of Titus. Okay, that's supposed to be Titus triumphant. An inscription. I can't read that, but yeah, this been around for a long time, bro. This thing survived, you know,
Yep. It survived. I
for
would
that
say it
long.
survived. It survived until the prophets could come back and explain it.
Yep, that's it. That's the spirit, So yeah, so that's there's a lot of going into that time. Um, we will finish off in verse 32, and then I guess we can kind of put a stick in it and we do the rest. This is verse 30, 2 Ezra 11 and 30. And then I saw that the two other heads were joined with it. That was what we just went into. Vespasian's sons, Titus and Domitian, who ruled after him. It says, and behold, the head was turned with them that were with it, and did eat up the two feathers under the wing that would have reigned. Okay, which those two feathers is Galba and Otho. They would have reigned um after they would have reigned, you know what I'm saying? But basically, well, actually, I'll say Otho and Vitellius because Vespasian did end up defeating Vitellius, because Galba was defeated by Otho, and then Otho and Vitellius were basically taken over, and Vespasian reigned after him. All right. It says verse 32, but this head put the whole earth in fear and bear rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression, and it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been. You see? So the military conquest at this time was unprecedented. All right. And you know, nobody was safe, which we went into all those things. Okay. And so, you know, I guess we can kind of stop there. We, you know, had a good time. I think that's a good spot to stop. And we'll finish it off. We'll have to do a part 3, Abarataza, you know what I'm saying, to finish out the chapter. But did you have any points or any things, Aquan, you want to say?
Hey man, study to show thyself approved. You know what I'm saying? Rightly dividing the word of truth. Matter of fact, let's get that and get that for rightly dividing. Yeah,
Okay.
let's end on a precept and a looked up word.
Mm-hmm. Why? Okay, something's wrong. My internet just cut off or what? Okay, good. All right, 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Right, those workmen that need not be ashamed is because we understand what we learning and we teaching what we was taught. You see, this is Paul advising Timothy. You see, just like our apostles teach us. This is what to look for. This is what to do. Like you hear Apostle Tahar talk about all the time. He said, we done taught all the breakdowns. Now we just analyze everything. You see? And they analyze in our work too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they analyze in our work too. You know what I'm saying? And we stick it to the doctrine. Go ahead.
That word for rightly dividing is orthotomeo. It says rightly divide, to cut straight ways, to proceed on straight paths, holding a straight course,
Now let's get to the
equivalence.
money.
It says to make straight and smooth, to handle aright, to teach the truth directly and correctly.
Period, point blank. You got to study to show yourself approved so you can teach the word directly and correctly. Right? Just like with King Solomon prayed to the Lord, you know what, with what's been given to me, I want to make sure I do it right. Period. Yahushua came back to make what didn't go right as Adam and Solomon. He came back to make it right. Teach the truth directly and correctly. That's our job. You know what I'm saying? And call halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh for giving us that. Call halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh for giving us that job. You know? But yeah, we go ahead and close out.
Con. Hey, so Lord willing, Abaratazah, this was edifying. All right, with that, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, now is a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
So long.